Yeah, I think what we're witnessing right now, ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues, is a political rivalries between the Tatmadaw and the NLD that uh, overtakes the power, but then again, they don't they don't really predict the resistance will be like this. It will be quite big, and then military have to doing extra mileage. I believe military expecting easy coup d'etat or coup, but then again it's turned differently. It's hard. People come to the street and ready to sacrificing everything. I guess this is the most how do you call it, valiant resistance we ever witnessed in the century within this sub-region of Southeast Asia. I think my sympathy and appreciation address those people who are still continue their struggles from different platform and different perspective, including those who are false as a hero of democracy. And slowly, the political problem develop and growing to be crisis. I think the first crisis is, of course, democracy and human rights crisis. Well, when the numbers of the falls of the people is swollen day by days, kids and women even not spare from the bullets, from the batons, as well as from the mortar or grenade launcher. I think it is called brutal. We have to admit, and then slowly going to the humanitarian crisis, where there's a lot of people flew inside the forest across the border. Of course, this will be raising what we call humanitarian crisis for food, for medicines, and for shelters that right now is inadequately provided by any kind of institutions or governments, especially from the Thai and Indian borders who are directly connected with the Myanmar border just because of this issue. First, of course, because of the politics. I think both governments are really considering carefully to mingle within the Myanmar, affairs because to maintain the political relation with military junta of Myanmar. I believe many of general from both sides, India and also Myanmar and also Thailand, involved in serious business or serious relation with the Tatmadaw. So for those humanitarian aid who crossing the border is actually initiated by civil society or communities such as like current Thai groups, because they have like a connection with between current Thai groups and maybe Mons groups or Buddhist monk of temples. They're providing food and delivering and cooking, for them. There is no official state help or state aids, or even from the international humanitarian organizations. There's no such other things yet to reaching the people inside the jungle or those people who are searching for shelter from the border. So this is the reality. The political turned to be the human right crisis, and then turned to be humanitarian crisis. And soon, if the ASEAN fails or any other international institution or bodies fail to address the conflict and peace immediately, I think uh, we are now walking on the cliff that maybe increase the insecurity and could be destabilizing the regional security as well, especially if the ASEAN talk doesn't bring any kind of a good signal that can make Tatmadaw to stop aggression and violence and attack and all those things committed by now. Um, Everybody knows if Tatmadaw is not standalone. Of course, in many international arena, Tatmadaw receiving political support or harvesting political support from China and Russia, especially in the UN bodies. I think we heard frequently the Beijing or Russia is signaling support for them, and in reality, China and Russia also providing equipment, expertise, experts, and also training for the Tatmadaw. Not yet to mention India. many of the weapon equipment actually is imported by India or supplied by India. So that's why I think we have to bring India in these surfaces. We can just not let India stand alone, because the two largest country in the world, China and India, play in this business. So this is bringing to the context of ASEAN. What can ASEAN do? Because I think a lot of expectation, no negotiation with junta, reject the junta. Let's bring NUG, recognition of NUG. But then again, I can really feel how the pressure of the ASEAN right now, especially. It's not the time to point the finger who is right, who's wrong. But then again, I think the highest priority now is how to stop violence happening every day now. How to pursue by by soft or by a little bit pressure to the Tatmadaw to stop the killing first. Aceh has this kind of, of things before, like cessation of hostile agreements between the two parties. Um, but the implication is quite huge. Like I said earlier, it's not only about political competition. It's not about humanitarian or human right, but it could be regional destabilization, including security. Not yet to mention, many analysis already said there could be the entrance of the radical group from different continents like Middle East that can bring weapons. But in reality, maybe Lawi can also make confirmation about this. Many of my friends already said they joining the armed groups, the ethnic armed groups. Because they realize doesn't matter, we're campaigning peaceful, democratic defending, but then again, if we fight with these crazy bastards or soldiers with the bullets that's shooting everywhere with sniper, I will die. And I'm not gonna be like a sitting duck in here. So let me join either to Chin, Karen, or Shan. They start to, making training themselves. I have no idea what will be the results, or whether they will come back in town and making guerrilla fighting against the Tatmadaw. So and second is a recommendation to impose Myanmar to return to political negotiation and democratic path. I think it's very difficult. Tatmadaw is untrustable institution, a violent institution in Myanmar. I'm sorry to say about this, Lawi, but then again, the current generation is that leading the fight in the top brass level is graduated from the 88 movement. Let's say the name of Min Kon Neng has been arrested for let's say, I don't know, dozens of years, almost 30 years, he is in the jails. And many people also has been in the jail during the 88 movements. Those who are exiled, and many has been killed. Yen and Tatmadaw can enjoy the powers with impunity. So that's why at the moment of times, the CDM and other grassroots movement, they're putting high demands: no retreat, no surrenders. We don't want impunity anymore, and we want federalism of democratic states, that combining and recognizing all the ethnic states, including what those are becoming the major demands of the state armed groups. So there are better hopes of the Myanmar in the coming future if they can defeat Tatmadaw, or Tatmadaw realize before everything destroyed, they can make negotiation. So back to negotiations. But what to negotiate? I think this is very important. And to who to negotiate? And whether or not Tatmadaw wanted to negotiate. I think that is a very critical questions that to be answered first, because democratic path will be coming next after all the parties agree. I don't believe Tatmadaw will just give up like that. Okay, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Yesterday, maybe my bad voice is just like, coming to the mood and shooting people. No, I return back to you guys. No, it won't. I think it is like it won't gonna be happens. And to having elections that promised by the Tatmadaw, I borrow a Debbie Stockhart language. She called it illusion. How come you are making new elections while people doesn't want the election? So it's very quite difficult combinations. But then again, the only things to bring every party to the negotiation is those questions that I've been asked just now. How to make Tatmadaw operates open, or whether or not NUG or national union governments will accept it. And if yes, whether we can accept, I mean, the civil society or people of Myanmar will accept, they will go to the second round of impunity, excessive power of the military, and political bargain and negotiations. Then Myanmar will entering the same situation like they have in the past, if they let it go. Now, I'm sorry, I'm talking too long. How to invite CSO in Southeast Asia to support CSO in Myanmar? There's a lot of way. You witnessing the very robust in the last decades of the civil society coordination, consolidation, collaborations, 100 statements already been released, a lot of advocacy, lobby callings, a lot of webinar already been conducted. And then I surprised Indonesia taking different stands. And I think in Jakarta, considering one of the most robust response regarding Myanmar, I think I could be proud of that. Compared with another, considering majority of Muslim populations that have a hard feeling about the way the Aung San Suu Kyi respond to the Rohingya crisis, I think Indonesian civil society need appreciation. They can really take these things between these two matters. But then again, we have to bring forward the solidarity expressions, this webinar, to something that more supportive. I'm identifying a few things how to support the civil society in Myanmar. First, make sure the CDM and other kind of movement is sustainable, because none of them are actually have a proper income. There is no banking, and many civil servants that actually have not receiving anymore the salary since the first time they are decided to leave the housing, like government housings. They just leave the house, government house, with whatever they have, and joining the movement and keep moving from one place to another place, just try to make sure they are safe, not getting raped by the police or military nighttime. That's one way. We can think around how to sustain or to keep support CDM and other movement to survive, because that is the only way to pressurizing Tatmadaw. Tatmadaw will never negotiate without any pressure from the field. And secondly, how to support from inside and how to support from the borders. I think we have to make realistic. It's time to think long-term strategy to support the Myanmar friends, to setting up office or base along the border. I think they needed this for the security. And then secondly is humanitarians. But I have no idea how actually Indonesian civil society can support in terms of humanitarians. But then again, there's a lot of crossing borders still opens, illegal of course. Illegal borders still open. I'm making survey in few places. I can feel like I can see the what do you call it? Things like food, rice, or tents, medicine can get across easily. But I guess do not sending anything from Jakarta that in the material like a food and shelter or the tent. Better you're sending money if you want to support them. So I guess I have to stop in the regional implications. I forgot to mention about this. It is beside the negative implication, there are positive implications, especially about it is the test in ASEAN. For the first time, ASEAN has been testing in the very difficult and very complicated issue. If the ASEAN can pass this excellently, so I think it will be giving more maturity and then establishment of the ASEAN in the coming future in response to similar cases like this. Test of the people solidarity. We've been demonstrating, we've been seeing the test of people solidarity, because so many our friends right now still fighting. It's not because the government support, it's just because people support other people, friend to friends. And then of course, this is increasing resilience of civil society to coming together
to fight, to respond, and to resist. And I hope this also can be continued not only in Myanmar, but also to responding to our friends in need in Cambodia, Thailand, Philippines, including in Hong Kong.